Good morning, Facebook. Thank you so much for joining and welcome to the Civilized Presence. So just give us 2 minutes for Facebook to get this video visible. Come right in and say a quick hello. Let us know where you're joining us from. We're excited to have you here this morning. Okay. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. I'm just waiting for the video to come on, and I will put it right here as soon as it's here. Okay. As soon as we get the video here, let's see. Yes, perfect. The video is here. Okay, so I'm just going to share it on your page, Jacqueline.
Okay.
And I have quite a number of Jacquelines on my page. I took it to another Jacqueline. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, so I think you have some security on your page. So it's not letting me. So what I'm going to do is I'll put it on my personal page, and then you can be able to share it on your page. It's not letting me share it directly on your page. So I have it on my personal page now. So you would be able to get this on yours. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining, and just let us know where you're coming in from. It's so great to have you here this morning. Thank you. Thank you. Coming in and say a quick hello and share this video on your page for us. So much for joining and welcome to the Perfect. So we have it now. Okay. All right. So welcome. I'm excited this morning, guys. Thank you so much for being here. This is the Civilized Presence. You are in the right place at the right time. We're right on time because we have Jacqueline in the house. She's very much on time. And thank you so much, Jacqueline, for making our time to be here. Now, the Civilized Presence is an online TV session where lives are changed, where people discover their self, their purpose, their voice, and learn social skills to thrive in the real world. So if you want to become a change maker, you are in the right place. So thank you so much for making out time to be here. Thank you for just saying yes and responding to the flyer. I don't know where you're joining us from. Maybe you're on Facebook, or are you watching this on replay? Is it on YouTube? I want to say welcome and thank you for being here. So my name is Louisa Akaiso, and I am going to be your host for today. So I feel so honored that you've responded to the call. And I'm a master civility trainer and a leadership expert and coach with the John Maxwell team. I work confidently with leaders and professionals that place great importance in themselves and their reputation. And that's going to be you this morning because you made up time to be here. So thank you so much. Now, the focus of this Facebook series or YouTube series is really to help restore civility in our society. So for those of you who are going to be here for the first time, and we've been doing this since last year, April, really helping to break down the concept of civility, etiquette, leadership into tiny bits for people to understand how easy it is, but important for us to be civil. And if you've been part of what I've been doing, you've might have heard me say that it's as easy as saying please and thank you, or even good morning. Even just share a compliment. I'm going to do right now to Jacqueline. That Jacqueline, you look amazing this morning, and thank you so much for being here. Thank you. So welcome, Arlene. It's great to have you here. Welcome, Esther. It's great to have you. Welcome, Susan. It's great to have you here. Izzy from Canada. And thank you so much for making out time to be here. Baller, I'm excited that you are here. Guys, come on in and say a quick hello. I can see people joining from different of my pages. So just come in and let me know that you're here. Welcome, Ikwa. It's great to have you. Welcome, Bona. It's great to have you. Welcome, Didi. Welcome, Barbara. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. It's a civilized presence, and you are in the right place. I don't know if you've seen the flyer already, but it's a great topic that is very timely. Yesterday in my session, I had a question from Sikani. I'm just waiting for him to come online. And he asked for this. He said, Louisa, when are we going to have a session about civility online? So I'm so excited to be working with the very best in the industry, really to talk about this great topic and why this is so important and some of the challenges that we're having already in communicating. And she's just here to make things really easy. So, if you're hearing about this concept of civility for the first time, let me share a few definitions for you. Civility is focused on positive people's treatment, being responsible for your actions, and trying to ease the experience of the person next to you. And well, my favorite definition of civility, it's always the one from P.F. Funny. I call him the grandfather of civility. He left us a couple of months ago, but he's here with us in spirit, and that states that being civil means being constantly aware of others and weaving restraint, respect, and consideration into that very fabric of awareness. So, civility is gracious goodness. And so, if you want to take something away from the session, just think about it as the golden rule, treating others the way that you want to be treated, whatever works for you. And this is why we share all this content and nuggets every Mondays and Fridays, just to make it easy for you. So, whatever is going to work for you, but always remember that it's focused on positive people's treatment. So, thank you so much for all of you who are just coming in. Obi, it's great to have you in the house. Stacy Stens, thank you for joining us today. Anana, thank you so much for making out time to be here. Jane, thank you so much for making out time to be here. So, coming in, let us know where you're joining us from because our guests would like to know who is in the room. So let us know what country you're joining us from and just kind of share some love. Give us some hearts, give us some thumbs up. The heart means, Jacqueline, we love you. We love to see you and we're looking forward to learn from you. And the heart just means, Louisa, we love those civilized presence and all of the work that you're doing. So come in and make a comment. Share this video, invite other people to be part of what we're doing because when we make it interactive, Facebook is going to share this video to a lot more other people. Now, so you might be asking, and so Eileen says, I'm from Illinois, US. Thank you so much, Eileen, for your support. It's always so great to have you here. You might be asking a question, Louisa, who is the beautiful lady on the screen? And let me just introduce you to her before she gets on to just say a quick hello. So we have Jacqueline Whitmore on the screen with us today. She is our guest today. She is one of the very best in the world. Jacqueline is an international etiquette expert. She's a certified speaking professional and the founder of Protocol School of Palm Beach. She is also the author of Poised for Success, Mastering the Four Qualities That Distinguish Outstanding Professionals and Business Class, Etiquette Essentials for Success at the Workplace. So if that's something that you're looking at, welcome, Dr. Maria. Welcome, Sibyl. It's great to have you here. You are in the right place and you can have access to this book. I'm going to share the link for you to have access to it on Amazon right after the session. So Jacqueline's etiquette advice is sought after by radio and television shows around the world, including 2020, CNN, Fox News, National Public Radio, and CNBC. She has been quoted in the New York Times, USA Today, the Wall Street Journal, Business Insider, U.S. News and World Report, Entrepreneur, Fortune, and the Oprah magazine. So, guys, she is the right person to be with us today. You will agree with me. So give us some hearts, give us some thumbs up. Come on in and say hello to Jacqueline. Some of us are joining us from the watch party, so I'm sure she might not see that. I'm from my other page, and welcome, Jabber. But I'm going to pass on the message, Jacqueline. I just want to let you know that everyone appreciates you and loves you. I can see hearts and comments from different screens. So we're so excited that you made out time to be here. I'm just going to give you a moment to say hello to the audience. Over to you, Jacqueline.
Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. It is a pleasure and a privilege to be with you today, to be with Louisa. I am honored to talk about etiquette today, which is my specialty.
Thank you so much, Jacqueline. Thank you. Guys, I want to remind you that this week has been the National Etiquette Week. So, we've been having a lot of conversations this week. We've had the masterclass on how to increase your civility. We've been doing that since Monday. I don't know if you've been part of what we're doing, but there are a lot of videos for you to learn from right on my page, right on my YouTube page. You have to subscribe to my channel. So please make your way to YouTube and subscribe on Louisa Akaiso. You will see tons of contents. And of course, this month we've been having great conversations because it's also the Global Civility Awareness Month. So we started up the 31 Days Challenge. Are you being part of the 31 Days Challenge? I posted it on my page, on my Instagram. It's everywhere. You have to be part of what we're doing. Guys, you have to be the change that we want to see in the world. No one is going to do it for us. Civility begins with all of us. And so the topic of today is how to communicate professionally online. Now, the digital communications and of course networks and social media is fast growing, and everyone, almost everyone, in the business or corporate world, because a lot of my audience are entrepreneurs and professionals and leaders, are my audience. Everyone should at least have, a platform, a page, a personal page, a business page. Gabra, thank you so much for joining us. It's important that we know how to communicate and show up in these places to be the best version of ourselves. It's so important. And so I know sometime last year, Twitter, which some of you might be familiar with Twitter, had pledged that they were going to increase the health and civility of discourse on their platform. And I want to believe that they started doing that, maybe by controlling the kind of post that comes up, because sometimes we really do not know what to put out there. Sometimes we don't know what is appropriate. But it's important that we all are intentional about communicating with respect, with courtesy, with consideration, whether it's from sending emails, sending text messages, getting on the phone, or just putting out things online. And that's why we're taking out time today to have this conversation with the expert, because this is what she does, really to talk to us about what we've been doing wrong and how we can change it. So it's okay if you've not been doing the right thing. But I want you to come in, and that's why you have to invite as much people as you can to be part of this conversation, to learn what is appropriate, how you should be showing up, because social media, the internet is the real world. Back in the day, people would just feel that their social media on the internet is in a box. As soon as they close up their laptops or their iPad, that's it. No. You have to make sure that your brand online, the way that you show up, your online presence is in alignment with who you are, your message, and your corporate brand. So there is no hiding place anymore. And that's why it's so important that you are communicating as a professional that you are. So, Jacqueline, how this works really is to get started with questions and we begin the conversation. Sometimes we have questions from the audience, right live here or afterwards, and we'll just continue, for the time that we have here. So my very first question for you today, Jacqueline, would be, what does civility mean to you, Jacqueline? Over to you.
Well, civility to me means just treating others the way that you want to be treated and being civil to one another. I mean, if you take civility, the root word is civil, which means just being nice, being kind. It's that simple. It might be a smile when you greet a stranger. Maybe you're in the grocery store and you're handing over your money to the cashier or your credit card. It's just that little acknowledgement that we so crave every day. It might be walking your dog down the street and passing by a neighbor and giving a nod and giving a smile. It's just it's simple. So civility is really simplicity.
Mm. Thank you so much. I love that definition. And guys, if you're just joining us for the very first time, the conversation today is how to communicate professionally online. So that's going to take me to my next question, Jacqueline. We are on social media, so we're going to begin with that. Now, is social media a blessing or a curse?
Well,
Yes, over to you.
it's actually both. Social media has opened up a whole new world to all of us. And you mentioned Twitter, there's Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, so many avenues in which we can communicate with people from all over the world. However, what I'm finding is that many of us hide behind technology. We hide behind social media. We say things that we wouldn't ordinarily say to someone's face. We make comments to other people that we might not necessarily say to them in person. And so it's a great way to connect. And that's what social media is, by the way. It's being social. So if you're not social on social media, don't expect to have a lot of followers. But the best way to connect is to comment on people's pictures, on their posts, but in a kind way. And my mother always had a saying, which your mother probably did too: if you can't say something nice, don't say something at all.
I think so too. That is so important, and thank you so much for that introduction. Social media, guys, it can be a blessing, and it can be a curse too. It's just like Jacqueline has said. It just depends on what you're doing here and how you're showing up. And I agree with you, Jacqueline. You know, sometimes I get friend invitation on social media, and the first thing I look at is the profile picture. And you are supposed to be a professional, and your profile photo is a photo of you lying on the beach. Like, seriously, I'm not going to accept you because that's not what I'm about on my page. Okay, so you can say all the great things in your description box, but if your photo, to say the least, shows something different on social media, then there is a disconnect. And so it's so important that people know that. And I love that you mentioned that. And this kind of takes us to the very next question. I find that another part of communicating that people struggle with is really the telephone. You know, we have a problem. You know, people do not know when to use the phone, when not to use the phone, and sometimes the tone in which we should use the phone. You know, and so, you know, another thing, a pet peeve that I have is people screaming on the phone in the airplane. Like, it is already a closed space, confined space. Everyone is trying to share in this tiny little box, and you're screaming on top of the phone. So, what is some of the do's and don'ts that you might have for telephones and cell phones and use of cell phones? What are the appropriate ways that people should use the cell phones? Over to you, Jacqueline.
Well, about 15 years ago, I founded National Cell Phone Courtesy Month, and which is in July. And most people don't realize that I founded that event, but etiquette experts all over the world are promoting that. And I appreciate that because I do believe that cell phones can be a hindrance to our communication. When you said telephone, I immediately thought of a landline because I'm of the generation where we had landlines. In fact, when I was growing up, we had a phone on the wall in my mother's house, and it would have a long cord on it. And I would take it and I would I would go to my bedroom and the long cord would be from the kitchen to the bedroom.
Yes.
So now we have these beautiful little devices called smartphones, cell phones, which are not really phones exclusively. They are my phone and your phone. It's a GPS, it's a camera, it's a compass, it's just about anything you want it to be. It will do everything except wash the dishes for us. And that might come in 10 years. So I believe that, as I said before, people also hide behind technology. I would recommend that you be discreet when you're making a phone call in public, because people are listening. And we are so mobile these days, and people will listen to your conversations. I would also recommend that you stay away from what I call cell yell, raising your voice on the telephone. Don't discuss private matters in public places. And when you are with someone, make sure that you put your cell phone away. A lot of us will put the cell phone on our desk or on a dining room table, and it shows that you're putting the caller ahead of the other person. So when you're with someone, make sure that you take your phone and put it in your lap or in your pocket or in your handbag and just put it away and give people your undivided attention. If you're expecting a very important telephone call, step away from the table, turn your phone on silent, use texting when you would rather not have a long, lengthy phone conversation. So these are just simple tips, but the bottom line is put people first and technology second.
That is great. And thank you so much for putting that out there. And welcome, Eno. It's great to have you. Welcome, Ola. It's great to have you. Welcome, Baller. It's great to have you. Thank you so much for joining us all the way from Canada. Canada there are a lot of people from Canada today in the house. Thank you for making out time to be here. If you're just joining the conversation, we're talking about how to communicate professionally online. And I have in the house our very best, which is Jacqueline Whitmore. I feel so honored to have to work with you, Jacqueline, with all the work that you're doing, amazing work that you do all over the world, training a lot of experts in the industry. And we feel so honored to have you here, be part of this conversation. And you just mentioned something about text messages. So what do you think about text message? Because sometimes, excuse me, a lot of people, and I also find that even on social media, I don't know if you've seen the same thing. People try to write things in short forms. I have a problem with that because it does affect you later on. And I speak to, I have a lot of nieces and nephews. And when I try to see them write the short form, I said, nope, you need to delete it and write it in full. Because sometimes when you get used to doing something, you might forget when you're supposed to write the full thing in school. And so I said, just get in the habit of writing the full thing. And, and some of the things I say, it's easier to text when it's just in short form. It's easier for us. What do you think about text messaging, and saying things that are, even working with clients and all that? What do you think about text messaging? Over to you.
I love text messaging, but I don't text message everyone. I think there's a time and a place for that. So you have to know your audience. So for those of us in business, you want to know that your client wants to receive a text. You don't just automatically send a text. But if your client prefers that you communicate in that manner, then I would suggest that you write your texts out. For example, how are you? Most people would write it how and the letter
Right.
R and the letter U. Okay, that's fine if you're texting your best friend or you're texting someone you know extremely well. But when you're in a business setting, I would recommend that you treat it as if you were writing it out in a business letter. And so I happen to like the dictation feature on my smartphone where I can just speak in the phone and it will dictate. But I have to read it before I send it, because oftentimes Siri does not understand my accent. I have a little bit of a Southern accent. And so I don't want to hit send before I read it. So just be
Right.
cautious. I would say read it before you send it out. Know your audience and spell out words if you're in a business setting. And don't text someone unless they give you permission to text them, because texting can be invasive. For example, we have 4 generations in the workplace right now. We have everything from the millennials to the baby boomers, Gen X's, Gen Ys. And so if a millennial is sending me a message, I'm a baby boomer. So I would prefer email because I can get to it at my convenience. Texting means that the matter is urgent. Oftentimes, I will send a text if I need an immediate answer. So you have to know your audience. You have to respond the way that they want to respond and keep it professional, because whether it's email or texting, it can come back to haunt you in the end if you are not professional.
Right. And thank you so much, and welcome, Esther. Thank you. It's great to have you. Welcome, Peter. It's great to have you in the house. Ogechi, it's great to have you. Thank you so much for joining us. It's the Civilized Presence. If you're just getting here, I don't want to say that you're late to the party, because you will have access to the video, but the conversation is really how to communicate professionally online. And so, Jacqueline, I have another question for you. Something that I noticed that a lot of people do, whether it's on Facebook, someone sees you online and decides to give you a video call. I think that there's something wrong with that. And I really want you to speak about that. Are you serious? You cannot. I can be online. You could see someone online, but they're not online for you. They could be doing something else.
Right.
And I find that so invasive.
It's like someone just popping into your house uninvited. For example, I'm not expecting any visitors right now, but someone could easily come to my door right now and knock and disrupt our conversation. So it's the same way. You could be online having a class or talking to someone, or you could just be online. And then if someone knocks on your door and they want to have a video conversation, it is invasive. So that's where you want to, set an appointment with someone, schedule a time that's convenient for both of you, and always ask permission.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for just for saying that, because I find that, especially with the iPhone, sometimes people just get on the FaceTime call. Like, you cannot call people on FaceTime. Or even I find, I've had to talk to a client before on Skype, because it was long distance, and we were looking for the best, way to connect. And even though we had to use Skype, you cannot come on video. You need to ask and, accept. Both of you will agree that you want to come on video before you do that. So I'm glad that you mentioned that, and welcome, Carolina. It's great to have you here. That's another image consultant. It's great to have you here. We have Jacqueline in the house, so I'm sure you're excited to see Jacqueline here. Jacqueline, this takes me to the next question, which is emails. Email is a very important part of what we do every day as professionals. And so I would love you to speak about emails and what's the best way to compose an email. What are the important things that we need to know? Who should we send what to? Are there different kinds of emails? What should be the tone of your mail? Over to you, Jacqueline.
Well, studies have shown that we spend up to 5 to 6 hours a day answering emails. And for some of us, it could be a lot more than that. So we want to make sure that we are as productive as possible when composing an email. So I'll give you some tips. First of all, the subject line is the most important part of the email. It's the one thing that people will glance at to find out if they're going to open it or not. So your subject line has to be consistent with the content in the email. And when you change the content, when you change the topic, you must change the subject line. Biggest pet peeve in business right now is when people CC everyone. When someone doesn't need that email, don't send it to them. Send it only to the people who need it. Point number 3, read your email before you send it. Check it for tone because you can't see a person's face.
Yes.
You want to read it to make sure your tone is consistent with your message. We have seen little emojis creep into email. And back in the day, I would say, no, don't put emojis in business email. However, as we evolve, emojis can actually help soften a message as long as you're using the right emoji. Hearts and things like that have no place in business. I would definitely use the little smiley face or maybe the little winky face if you're just kidding. Again, the emojis will help convey the message, but use them sparingly and use them only with people you know extremely well. One other tip that's so important is please put your contact information in your signature line. So many people do not even put their phone number in their signature line. So I have no way to communicate with them other than emailing them back and saying, what is your phone number? This is a waste of time. It is a waste of time and energy. So the more emails you send out, the more emails you receive. So another point is, if you want people to read your email and to respond correctly, use bullet points. I come from a journalism background, and I believe that people like lists, they like numbers, they like bullet points, and it makes it easier to respond. Keep your email short and simple. If your email is 5 pages long or even more than a screen full, pick up the phone, because no one has time to sit there and read a long, lengthy email. That you can pick up the phone and have a 10-minute conversation instead of sending this long, lengthy email. No one's going to read it at all.
Wow, that was some really great tips there, because yes, I love that you talked about having the contact information and maybe just creating a signature for your email address. And I believe that every platform should allow you to do that. Even with Google and all of that, you can still create your signature. I mean, your contact information, whether it's your phone number or your website or whatever, and just put it there. So it makes things a lot easier. And thank you so much for mentioning that. I'm just going to go back to the audience and welcome Abidami. It's great to have you here. Halimar, thank you so much for joining us here. Carlos, it's great to have you here. Thank you, and thank you again. We're having a conversation here on how to communicate professionally online. So if you do have a question, come on in and leave it in the comment box below. We have the expert in the house. You don't want to bring the question when she's gone. So bring the question while she's right here. She's happy to deal with it. That takes me to the next question for you, Jacqueline, and really talking about when you're talking about emails. I've had, like yesterday, I had this problem, and someone sent me something that was not for me. Because, like you talked about, people CCing. When you're so used to doing the CC and you're trying to reply, if you're not careful, it's going to go back to everyone again. Because you have the option of reply and reply all. And so an email came to me yesterday that wasn't supposed to be for me, but it came to me. Of course, this person made a mistake. And some email providers give you an option to be able to track back and retract the email, but I'm not sure it's every provider that can do that. So I just want you to speak to that. What happens if you accidentally sent a wrong email, for example, if something like that happens? How are you able to protect your image again? Over to you, Jacqueline.
Well, that leads us back to civility. Just apologize. We've all made that mistake. We've all sent a text to the wrong person. We've all sent an email to the wrong person. What I do when I'm typing email is I've learned to put the last thing that I do is put the name in the to column. So I'll compose the email, and then I'll go back to the to, and then I'll put in the person's email address. And that way I have time to think about what I'm saying. And then once I'm ready to send it, I fill in the to, and then I hit send. So that's a really good tip for people who want to be more efficient. Another great tip that I just learned from one of my students last week in Rochester, New York. She said, you know how some email programs will allow you to have different signatures? She said she sends the same email. She's a realtor. She sends the same email. It's almost a template that she sends to every single person, just letting them know that she received their email. She'll respond within 24 hours, etc. She actually composed this email in a template and saved it as a signature, so that when she's on the road and she might be driving and she can't really stop to answer an email, she'll just pull up that one signature and send it. And it lets people know that she saw their email, she's acknowledging them, and that she will respond in a timely manner. And that's the other thing. If you're getting an email, don't just let it sit in your inbox for infinity. Your inbox is for messages that either need responding to, filing away, or deleting. So if you want to be more efficient, then respond within 24 hours or sooner.
I think that's a really great tip, and welcome, Etienne. It's great to have you here. That's another etiquette expert. It's great to have you here from Nigeria. Welcome, Etienne, sir. It's great to have you here. Thank you so much for joining. The conversation is how to communicate professionally online, and thank you so much for just all that you're sharing with us. And Jacqueline, I love that tip about just creating a short email, because that way you can do it in a timely manner. Like, I mean, when you have the time, so you're not in a hurry to respond to it. Now, I have another question for you. We've been working with the masterclass series and really talking about what to do when people are rude. So thinking about emails, sometimes you might get that really not so cool email from your boss or from a client or from a business partner. And I want you to speak back to the audience about how to respond to that very harsh email. Like, this email that you're reading and you're just like, there's so much tension there. How do you go about that email and not say the wrong thing and you're going to regret afterwards? Over to you.
Well, first of all, I wouldn't respond right away. And the reason is you could say something that you might regret. I would also not respond in all capital letters, because capital letters is the equivalent to shouting. So if I received an email from someone and I thought it was a little bit hot-natured or it was a little curt, I would stop, and I might even print it out. I might set it aside. I might go take a walk. I might just look at it later. And then oftentimes when you come back to an email and look at it with fresh eyes, when you're more relaxed, it doesn't seem as bad as it did the first time you read it. So oftentimes I will have a timeout period. But if I come back to it and I see that it's still an angry tone email, sometimes I will pick up the phone and have a conversation with that person, because whatever you send out can be documented, it can be saved, it can be forwarded, it can be printed. It stays in cyberspace forever. So if you want your conversation documented, then of course you would send it in an email. When I want to have a serious conversation with someone, I either make an appointment to meet them in person, or I have a phone conversation. And you can say something like, I think I misunderstood what you were trying to say, because a lot of times we interpret, the way you see your world, Louisa, is not the
Sure.
same way I see my world. You and I can be
Sure.
looking at the exact same thing. You could be sitting right
Sure.
here next to me, and a car could go by with people in it having a conversation, and you overhear something and I overhear something different. So interpretation is individual. So I would suggest that you cool off, cool down, pick up the phone, have a conversation, and ask the person, what did you mean by this? Please explain this. I felt, when you take the onus off the other person and you say, well, I felt it was a little bit derogatory that you said this. Could you please explain what you meant by that? Then you're giving the person an opportunity to justify what he or she tried to say. So that might help.
That helps a lot. Yes, because this happens all the time. And welcome, Jai. I have a lot of image consultants here this morning. I think everyone is just so excited to see Jacqueline here, and they're just coming in from AICI. So great. Welcome. It's great to have you here. We're having a conversation. And of course, Jacqueline is just doing what she knows how to do best, and educating us on what's the right way, how to communicate professionally online. And this is so important, even as professionals and leaders and entrepreneurs, because you show up online, so you have to show up the right way. So my very last question for you around the show, before I talk about what you do and your work, because I want people to be able to find you and get to connect with you, especially with the services that you offer. My last question now would be, we are here on social media, and Jacqueline, um, whether it's on LinkedIn, a lot of us have pages on LinkedIn. What's the best way for us to show up online as a professional? What are those things that are so important for us to have online so people can connect with us as professionals? Over to you, Jacqueline.
LinkedIn is going to be different. It's a different platform than Facebook. It's a different platform than Instagram. So the way you portray yourself on those platforms will be completely different. LinkedIn was designed just for that. Louisa, business, doing business, interacting with other business owners and colleagues and clients. You'll notice that there's a recommendation page. There's an opportunity for all of us to post videos, to post articles, to post a resume, to find jobs. So my first tip would be, if you're going to use LinkedIn as your primary platform to communicate with clients and colleagues, is that you, first of all, post a professional picture of yourself. Make sure that it's current. Make sure that your information is up to date. And again, it's social media, so be social. If you like LinkedIn, interact with those people who are following you. Put out there your best material, write articles, post videos that depict you in a professional light. When you comment on someone's article, make sure that you keep it positive, upbeat. There's so much negativity in this world. And I want to just leave you with my 3 wit bits, Whitmore's wit bits. And I say this in every single one of my classes. Number 1 is surround yourself with positive, happy, talented people, because they will rub off on you. There's too much negativity in this world to hang out with people who are negative. Number 2, never stop learning. Learners are earners. The more you learn, the more money you earn, the more your value increases and your marketability and credibility increases. Number 3, and finally, is keep an open mind. Minds are like parachutes. They only function when they're open. So when you're on social media and you see someone post something that you don't necessarily like or agree with, keep an open mind, because again, their interpretation can be different from yours. And just because you disagree with that person doesn't give you the right to say something nasty to them on their wall. If you agree to disagree, that's great. If you don't like what they have to say, don't follow them. We have the freedom to choose who we are friends with on social media. Choose your friends wisely.
Hmm. I love that. I love that. And we're having a lot of hats and love. Thank you so much. Thank you all of you with all the hats. From different pages. Everyone loves what you're sharing, Jacqueline. So I'm just gonna give you a moment to kind of tell us about um, all the programs that you do, because I know that there's so much great things about you, Jacqueline. Not just etiquette, but of course protocol, which is such I love protocol. I love international protocol. So can you just tell us a bit about what your company does and the program that you do and who you work with? Over to you, Jacqueline.
Well, thank you, Louisa, for allowing me to share what I do with the world, because I feel like what I do is almost a ministry. It's something that it's a lifestyle for me. It doesn't feel like work. I founded my company 20 years ago, and I have been blessed to go all over the world sharing the message of civility and etiquette and protocol with a variety of audiences from all walks of life. Just last week, for example, I presented a customer service seminar to a group of air conditioning technicians, whereas next week
Wow.
I might be teaching a group of wealth managers or bankers or lawyers.
Wow.
So it's interesting how many people embrace good etiquette, good customer service, good communication
Absolutely.
skills. But what's really near and dear to my heart, which I have started doing in the last 10 years, is I help others build their business. So if anyone out there is interested in becoming an etiquette consultant, if you're interested in sharing good manners and civility and etiquette with the world, and you want to teach children or teenagers or college students or even business executives, I have a program where I help you build an etiquette business. It's a train the trainer program that I either offer online or in person. Come and visit me near Orlando. Come to Florida. I would love to show you my hometown here in Mount Dora. And I also have webinars and teleseminars. And the best way to keep in touch with me is not only through social media, I'm on all of the platforms, but I also have a newsletter. So if you just go to my website, which is etiquetteexpert.com, there's a box at the top of the website where you can receive a free newsletter, and it will keep you up to date about all my classes. And a lot of my classes are free. And I would love to have some of the members of your audience come and join me and join my free newsletter. Again, it's etiquetteexpert.com. And please connect with me and stay in touch.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jacqueline. And I have it. If you saw the post on my page, I have the website right there, etiquetteexpert.com. So you can just click in and go and register to the newsletter. She has some great contents, guys. I want to tell you, when I say Jacqueline is one of the best, she is one of the best. And I'm really honored to work with her this morning and for her to make out time to be here. And Eformer, it's great to have you here. Thank you so much. And Leah, too, thank you so much for being here. Some of you have come on in from different pages. If I haven't mentioned your name, I just want you to know that I really love you and I appreciate your making out time to be here with me and also to trust in what I do. For the support, I want to say thank you, because without you, the show will not go on. Look at that. We're already at session number 102. We started last year. So thank you for all that you do. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your emails. You're always communicating with me about the things that you want to hear and what you're learning and what you're doing with the contents. It brings me so much joy. And welcome, Wenga from Nigeria. It's great to have you here. It's always good to see you, my friend. Thank you so much. Thank you, all of you. If you're just joining us, you can have access to this video, like on my page. Later on today, it's going to be on YouTube, and you can have access to it. So do not keep away from the content. Share it to your friends and family. Now, some quick announcement. I don't know how many of you have you gotten my book? We've been talking about it, Civilized Leader, because we're going to be doing some lessons on it very soon. So you want to grab your copy and read it before we get started with that. And of course, the True Civility. Some of you were asking me for the link. It's available now. It's right on Amazon. And so let me know what you feel about the contents. Of course, leave us some comments. I want to hear from you. Some reviews from you would be very helpful. Thank you. And leave it on Amazon. Somebody sent me a review yesterday in my inbox. I can't do anything with it. Go to Amazon and leave the review there, not to me in my inbox. But thank you. Thank you so much, all of you. And Jacqueline, we are having some great messages from different platforms. You're just not able to see it. And Etienne enjoyed your session. She's an etiquette expert in Nigeria. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Thank you, Arlene. It's always so good to see you. And guys, we're here every Mondays and Fridays at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. So I will be back here again on Monday at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Oh, she says she's been following you, Jacqueline. You have some followers. People have been sneaking and following you on Twitter. That's what she said. So they already know how great you are. Thank you. Thank you for mentioning that. So if you're not already following Jacqueline, please do. Follow her on Twitter. She's on all the platforms. Jacqueline Whitmore, that's her name. And you can find her on Facebook, on Twitter. Go to her website if you want to send her an email. That's where you're going to do things from. And so thank you. If you want to hear, to be on our show, you think you're doing something great, you want to be on our show, send me an email. It's Louisa at the civilityacademy.com. And some of you, sent me inboxes. You're interested in trainings, please send me an email, Louisa at the civilityacademy.com. I will respond better there. When it comes to my inbox, sometimes I don't see it on time. So please forgive me and send it to my email. That way I know that I'm going to be right on. But thank you. I have to be civil and let Jacqueline go so that she can come back another time. Jacqueline, thank you. I want to say thank you again for making out time to be
And
here.
Louisa, thank you for the work that you do. And you are an influencer. You are touching many lives with your message, your word. And I also appreciate everyone who took the time today, who listened to your message and my message. And I appreciate all of you.
Thank you. Thank you. That means so much to me. So, guys, I would see you again on Monday, same time, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Make it a date. See you then. Have a wonderful rest of your day and weekend. Bye for now. Thank you, Arlene. Thank you.